Okay, so welcome to the next video from the CowanSim series. As you can see, this time it's the medical version of the helicopter, and we will talk about it in a minute. We are in the North Sea on one of the great oil rigs that come free with 2024. It's actually, if you are a helicopter flyer, this is one of the greatest features of the new version. Many people don't know how to start on the helipad with everything shut down, because this is also a new feature from 2024 that is not obvious. So I have taken a picture for you. Let me just show you. So this is the normal map, right? When you set where you set up when you want to start, and normally you could just click on this helipad here, and if you would click on the helipad, it would start with everything on, right, with engine on and stuff. But you can just click on the free space here on the H, and then you will get a drop down here if you want to start in the air at this point, or if you want to start with everything shut down. So this is another like 2024 feature, which is amazing for helicopter flyers, because this way you can also start on a lot of roofs, on many places that are like a helicopter landing place in the reality, but not in the sim. When you use it and sometimes load into the sim, it will kind of spawn you in water, in the air and stuff. But once you click this like small yellow button that you want to start the flight, right, take control, then it will move you to the right place. Or sometimes you also have to click Shift and C to be teleported to your helicopter. Like in this case, the helicopter was on the landing pad, but I, as the person in 2024, was in the water. But once I clicked Shift C, it pretty much teleported me up into the helicopter. So great for helicopter flyers. As I said, North Sea, we can see the weather isn't very good. Maybe I will need to change it because I want to show you some stabilization functions. And for this, I might need some height, but we will see. The story for today's flight is that we will be flying to a different oil rig around 40 miles out. And let's just say that we were visiting this rig with some medical services, but got a call that there is an emergency on another oil rig, and we are going there. Here you can see how the like medical interior looks like. You can also click here to spawn like a patient, but in this case we are empty. I think you cannot change this guy, but we will see later. There is also an option to open this door and move this bed out, so kind of simulate unloading the patient. Once again, I think the quality of the interior here is totally fine. Okay, so let us get in. I kind of try to show you a new function every time in every video. So one thing that I haven't mentioned, and I always love an aircraft, is a working window. So it's not only letting in like the engine sounds once it's running, but also the environment sounds. I think you can hear the sea now. Okay, so now let's just close. Uh, One interesting fact about this one is that if you open it during the flight, the aircraft will be destroyed, right? And your flight ended, or you will be respawned. Um, so in order to not have this happen, because it happens even if you're like flying slowly and on low altitudes, you need to change some settings. So let me just show you. Settings, assistances, and we will talk about those ones too, but here, aircraft stress damage. This is what is like killing you when you open the window, when you are not on the ground. So make sure to disable it. As you can see, I have also like crash damage disabled. This is most often because, mostly because when I was trying to fly to land on some helipads, like on rooftops and stuff, even when it was a pretty smooth touchdown, it was crashing the plane in some rare places, but still, it's not a nice surprise. So I would, for helicopter flying, I would also recommend to use this one to disable it. The only one that I have enabled is engine stress damage, because I think I remember that some of the um, more quality, high quality plane planes that I own use this one for wear and tear, right? For engine wear. So I'm just leaving it here. Okay, when it comes to some other resistances that are important for us, here you can see all of the standard helicopter assist modes. As you can see, I have all off, and this is like not because I'm a pro pilot, because I'm definitely not when it comes to helicopter. This is because the S76 has a lot of it inbuilt already, so it's not recommended to have it on. Obviously, if you're like playing with Xbox controller, it might be easier for you still. But a lot of the stuff that this is doing, the helicopter, the real one, and the simulated one is also doing, right? So it doesn't make sense and can even be a problem. So for example, the tail rotor, this is a function that is built in into the real helicopter and the simulated one. So no matter what mode you are flying on, you shouldn't have to correct with the tail rotor, right? It shouldn't turn you around if you don't do it. So this is also a good indicator that something with your settings is wrong. If you need tail rotor input, so like pedal input, I guess, then it means that you might have some settings wrongly set up for the helicopter. So my story was funny, right? Because when I started flying it in 2024, I actually had the aircraft behaving very strangely. So I took a look into the standard keyboard settings, right, and controller settings of 2024, and I didn't see it, right, because it was not obvious. I couldn't find what is wrong. But after a long time, I found that the interior custom views, right, so looking out the window, looking at the instruments, looking at the switches, every one of those was adding a different, sorry, a different trim type to the helicopter, and it was going crazy, right? So the more I was looking out the window, the more strangely it behaved. So um, the I said it in the prior video. The assignments in this helicopter are more important than in pretty much every other one because a lot of the code is custom because of those full stabilization modes. And every input that is of a different type than expected can totally mess it up. And this is also why so many people on the internet seem to have many problems. So I would actually, after my experience, it took a lot of time to sort it out. Um, pretty much recommend to like remove all of the helicopter settings for this one, right? To do a custom profile for this one, and just add what is in the manual plus what you are sure that will not interfere with the helicopter. Okay. So once again, you don't need this one because like the helicopter is also easy mode in the reality, right? And all of the assistances are provided. I think the developer and the manual that you have in the EFB only recommends assisted cycling if you want to. Okay? So let me now go back to our helicopter. Let's just turn it on. Battery, engine master, position lights, fuel, engine start. So one interesting thing that I have seen, like in a video of another YouTuber lately, that you can also right-click this arm here, and it will also like fire up. But for us, we can just do it like it's done in the reality. There is no windsock. On many of those oil rigs, there is one. I couldn't find one actually. So I'm not sure how to turn. Let's hope that the wind is not very strong, because there's also no meter for this one, and that we don't end up on this like building part. We can go to the outside. Nice meaty sounds. Okay. It's stabilized, so let's launch. Let's start the second one. Oops, no, blocking. So let me make it. Let me pull the volume down a little bit because I will want to talk about some stuff. So as you could see in the title of the video, I would like to talk about the stabilization modes. So we will talk about SAS, so SAS and ATT, especially since, as discussed in the last video, there have been some very important changes to ATT. It has been made more realistic, but at the same time less intuitive. And I'm just like not wondering that a lot of people don't understand what is now happening to the helicopter. So for now, if you are not very advanced and want to hand fly, I would recommend to change to SAS. Because then you don't need to understand the logic. It's only like a weak stabilization of what you're doing. But I will show you all of the details and discuss it shortly. Okay. Okay, this is new. Why is it wobbling? I was just talking about some strange inputs. I was testing it. Okay, let me see. Let me edit, and we will see what happens. Okay, now it's not wobbling. Strange. Maybe because this is because how we have spawned here. Actually, let me show you. And let me make it. Let me pull the volume down a little bit more. So, as you can see, we are not on the center. So, first time I spawned to test the video, I was in the center, right? So maybe you are not stable on those 3D letters here. Okay. Either way, seems to work now. I hope I won't have to re-record this one. Okay, let's just. Do we have enough N1? Yeah, it's around 70. So we can take a look at the generators now. Loop, loop, oops. Inverters, radios. Logo light, yes. Fasten seat belts, yes, for the medical staff. Arming emergency lights and pitot heat because there's like a lot of rain probably outside. Okay, and we can go to full power. Slowly and gently, like always. The indicators are in the green. Okay, so let me just turn on the autopilot, like always. Flight director to 2, if we are flying from this side. If you are flying from the left side, you need it on 1. Okay. In this case, I will start with SAS for reasons that I will explain later. Well, just to sum it up, I do begin to understand how ATT is working now, but I'm not sure how to use it in phases other than cruise, pretty much, and maybe landing. But we will just discuss it in a minute. Let me just change this one. This should, once it's ready. Okay, so this is a small bug with this standard working title GPS. I also have it in other planes. So when this happens, right, you click enter and nothing happens. You can just restart it here. So this one, no. This one, no. This one, no. Actually, I think it's one of the inverters that is handling this one. Let me just see. No? Okay. I was doing it before, just forgot it. So it's probably one of the generators that is responsible for it. Okay, now. Okay, so it actually was like a mix of generator and inverter to do it. Hopefully it will work now, because I was able to restart it in the past. Let's cycle the AC generator. Depending on the takeoff, if we will need a lot of power, an R might come down, and then we will have to recycle it again. As I said, I think in the first video, the real pilot on the Discord said that this also happens in reality, that it cycles back, that it kind of turns on again, this warning when the NR goes down. Then it should, I think he said that he's not sure, but it should recycle on its own. Let's say it doesn't do it here, so let's do it. Okay, let's get some lights. Sorry. Let's get some maybe pulse lights, because normally you are using the landing ones. This one, and the last one, which is the strobe. Okay. Despite being called like his lights. I think it stands for high intensity something. I was checking it up in the beginning. The strobe light, describe the strobe light, is actually like a constant white light on the tail. Maybe I can show you. So this is what turns on when you do the strobe light. Those are the anti-collision lights, so the standard beacons, right? Something that I didn't do in the prior flights, but you would normally do, is putting TKs to TA, right? Well, let me just double check if we have everything, sorry. Okay, so now it has loaded. It should point us to the other oil rig, right? Okay, 50 miles, I guess. It was a little bit shorter, like when I was setting up in the Microsoft thingy. Okay, let me just check. As discussed before, it's probably more realistic to put it to direct. So like every engine feeds from its own tank. Okay, looks good. Let's take a look outside. And this one is pretty high. So I'm not sure if it's not safer to just turn around because we will be able to control where we move better if it will be just like in the direction where we have the front of the helicopter. So let me just try to do it. I'm a little bit afraid because of the 3D ground here, if it won't do anything strange, but let's see. I can also show you the window once again, this time with engine on. It will be probably loud. Okay. Yeah, I just like small details like this one. Nowadays, like even in pretty expensive aircraft, you often don't get this, right? Okay, so let me try to do it then. Okay. Oops, just 1 second. So I actually don't have my joystick where I need it to be. Okay. I wasn't prepared. Okay, so let's do it again. So a small rotor input needed might be a thing, right? It's just that it shouldn't be much. Because, as I said, the real aircraft and the simulated one should apply tail rotor input for you to keep the aircraft stabilized. Okay, I think this is enough. So we will start from here. Let's hope it's not a very strong wind that will push us into the oil rig. Let me just double check if everything is fine. Okay, so pitot tubes, I might have said before. I guess I said that there might be a lot of rain, right? So we are setting this up. I will also talk about anti-ice when we will be in the air. Today we can see we have 11 degrees Celsius, right? So it shouldn't be needed, but like everything can happen over the open sea. Okay, so turning the brake on. And let's see what happens. Okay, so we are hovering. We are being pushed in the direction that I didn't want to fly to, but I think we can just correct without a problem and just leave the oil. Yep. Okay. This is a little bit too much power. Okay. But we have a takeoff. And we are even flying in the right direction. So the alarm that you can hear is because it was reading that we are still close to the ground, right? And we had the gear up. And we were not fast enough, I guess. Okay. So first, let me just use the autopilot to even out. All right, so we are perfectly straight. Okay. Let me just, once again, resetting the heading bank is just clicking on it. Okay, and now it's in the center. So let's use it. Okay. Let me make the aircraft a little bit more silent. One thing that I often use, and is also like, I think, not common knowledge, is that if your plane, aircraft, whatever, doesn't have like active headphones, this one you can just take them off, but nothing happens. Then there is a mode in MSFS to kind of lower the volume to simulate that you have like pilot headphones on. Let me just show you. Settings, sound, and headphone simulation. Okay, and this way it's nice and silent. I can even pull the volume up to normal levels, so this is how it would be. That's saying you need to watch out because from the outside it's still the old volume level. If you switch to outside view, let me just show you. This might be loud, but it's like 100%, so this is how I'm hearing. Okay. Let us gain a little bit altitude, right? So this. And just a reminder, as we have only vertical speed on without IAS, we are steering this vertical speed with the normal trim on our joystick, right? On our cyclic in this case. But as we don't have IAS set, the helicopter is not trying to keep the speed at the same time. Okay, let me turn that off, turn that on to see if there's like no storm. There doesn't seem to be, and we are getting slowly up. And here, you can see it. Okay. In a minute, we will talk about the difference between those two modes, because we have already discussed all of this, right? All of the like standard autopilot modes, I think in most detail in the cruise video that I have done. Okay, but now we will talk what happens if you have only SAS on, so none of those options are active, or if you have ATT on, which means that only standby is active, right? So then we only have the stabilization mode from ATT, but no like active autopilot mode like we know it from other aircraft. Are we high enough? I would like a little bit more. Okay, we can also increase it. We have some power left. We only have like 2 people in the back. So the helicopter should be pretty powerful. There should be a lot of power left. Lately, I told you that this helicopter has less power than, for example, the MH60, which is like a military helicopter, and it needs a lot of additional power when needed, right? When something happens. And also to transport like very heavy goods between ships. And I've checked it, and actually, like the horsepower of the MH60 is more than double of this one. Right? So you can imagine this is like the S76 is a high performance aircraft, right? It's sold like one, but the performance is mostly to handle like the normal operation. There is some power left, but it depends on the situation, and you pretty much need to understand it. As you could see before in our flights, oh, we can see, okay, it's already 4 degrees, right? So we are in icing range, and we can see some possible rain, I guess. No rain, but just clouds incoming. So this means we might decide to enable engine anti-ice. The nice thing is that, as far as I can see, it does influence the engine input, right? So it's simulated that you get, well, lower engine input with it on. Slightly, still. Here it's like not visible, I guess, but I have used it in many situations, and in some, like the drop was visible, and then the FADEC was trying to support the additional power need. Okay, so I think we can go into altitude mode. We are in heading, so I'm using the trim to move back to the track that we need. Just trim to the right, and as you can see, the back right. Okay. It should even out to the altitude when that was selected when I have pressed Alt, right? Obviously, if you wanted to fly like a very specific altitude, then you just have to set it here and then Alt pre-select. You have used it like in the prior flights, it's working. Okay. Let me just make sure I discussed everything. Anti-ice. Okay, so maybe let's talk about icing, right? When it comes to like moisture that we can encounter, we do have what are they called in English? Wipers, right? We do have wipers, and they also work, right? And so obviously there will be the raindrops here, and they will not appear where the wiper is swiping. It's not a very advanced effect, but it's something that was like very rare in 2020, and here it works nicely. I had to use it many times, but today, as you can see, no rain. Okay, we just turn it off. So pitot heat, obviously, if we have suspected icing, we need to turn it off, because otherwise we might get problems with the speed indicators and the height indicators. Here we also have windshield heat. As I know, it's not like installed in all of the S76s, but this is the only thing that gets powered from this strange AC generator that likes to misbehave, right? Let's just turn it off. As far as I know, there is no like visual icing on the windshield, nor on the hull of the helicopter itself, which is kind of a shame because I like to fly in places where there is possible icing. But maybe for the 2024 version. I did kind of propose it to the developer, but he said that he will look into it, but there are many possible things to do for 2024, so he doesn't. Okay, so a lot of talking. Actually, there's not much visible here, but I will still try to explain what I wanted to explain. So let's maybe start with ATT. So, okay. Standby means we are still on ATT, but there is no active autopilot mode on. Let me just see if we're flying straight, if I'm not clicking us now. Okay, it's fine. So, I have some text prepared. Luckily, it's very short, so you don't have to do a lot of reading. Let me just show you here. So SAS, which is the less advanced of the two modes, right? It's just short-term damping, okay, to increase the helicopter stability, okay? And it's for hands-on flying, like trim systems, okay? And those are two important parts of this message here. So this is like a trim, right? It works kind of like a trim, and you still needs to be hands-on. It's not totally automatic, okay? Let me switch to SAS. So what this is doing, you can see that we have a sudden change here, is pretty much letting it fly you like every other aircraft that you know. It just stabilizes it a little bit. And in this mode, the trim on your joystick, on your cyclic, is like really the trim. It works like in a plane. In the real one, the trim is a little bit different, right? It changes like the position of the cyclic. This is not possible with the joysticks that we have at home. So all of the helicopters that I know of in simulators have the trim working as a trim in an airplane, right? So let me just show you. Let's say I want to go up. It will go down, so I need to add some down trim, right, to keep it where I want it. But if there will be a wind gust, if the wind will change, if I will change the speed, if anything will happen, I might to re-trim it, right? So it works exactly like a trim, but it gives you like full control just like a plane does. With ATT, let me just turn it on. It's different. So let's go back to our like smart text. So attitude retention system. So let's first talk about attitude. So let me show you. It's actually easier to show with SAS. So attitude means the pitch setting, right? Up, down. Whoops, he doesn't like it. Okay. But it also means the roll setting. So this is also like a different altitude. And what ATT is doing is holding the pitch and the roll setting that we have like set up here. So let's go back to the smart text. If changes are desired, they can be done with the beep switch or the force trim. Okay. So the beep switch is the trim on our cyclic, so the one that we are most often using. And let me just show you. We are on ATT, we are on standby, and it's kind of in the middle. So now when I press the trim switch, you can see it's slowly going down because I'm applying a new setting for him to hold. Okay? And the second one is force trim. And this is where it gets really complicated because it's kind of set up in a strange way in the sim. Let me just show you. It's actually described here in the manual, but in a way that is pretty much impossible to understand if you don't know how it's working, right? Um, Here, force trim release, rotor trim reset, center trim with or without autopilot. This is actually not the meaning that we are looking for, but this is the second function that was described in the article. So let me just show you. We are on ATT. Let's double check. Yes, we are. Um, it's holding this one. And if I wanted to hold a different one, then I have to press whatever button I have assigned to force trim and move it to the place where I want it to be, right, with the joystick, and then release the button. Here it's kind of violent, but it's pretty much doing what I say. And to achieve this second function, so not just doing it via trim, but also by pressing a button, releasing it, um, let me just go back to altitude so we don't lose too much speed. If you want the second function, then first you have to set up this binding that was mentioned here, so rotor trim reset, right? But you also have to change the options for it in the control settings. And let me show you. Let me just make sure that we are not doing anything dangerous here. Doesn't seem so. So let's go to the settings. Okay. So we need to set up rotor trim reset. I have it on one of the buttons on the joystick. So I'm just pressing it, moving the joystick to where I need it to be, and then releasing it. So this is the closest to the real functionality of the system. That's saying for it to work, you have not only to set it up like here, but you also have to go here and do the options. And here you need, sorry, I was setting it up yesterday. Here, set control on release. Oh, that's actually strange because I had it enabled. Okay, let me just go back to this one. And let's try it again. Oh, okay, because it's on altitude. Okay. Yeah, and now it works. To be honest, I'm not sure. I was testing it a lot yesterday and was also talking to the guys on Discord, and it was only working like needed. Sorry, let me change it again. It was only working as needed when we had this additional assignment, right? When we not only had the rotor reset, like set, let me just try again, search by input. Okay, rotor trim reset, but we also had this one set on. Today, for some reason, might be some 2024 magic that I don't understand. It was not only disabled, but also was working without it, right? So pretty much the message from me is if it works without this for you, fine. It was not for me and for other people. But if it doesn't, then you have to turn it on, right? Set control on release. Okay. Okay, and this is pretty much, we can see that there is a lot of stuff happening. Some bad weather. We're getting thrown around and are losing speed. So this is pretty much like the main message of this flight, the difference between those two modes. When it comes to this article that I have provided, I will provide the link in the description of the video. That's saying the only interesting part of this one, I think, is like those two descriptions. And I have also checked a lot of other like magazines and stuff for helicopter flyers, and this is pretty much the most clear description that I could find. So I can just recommend this one. When it comes to ATT, so this new functionality that is closer to the realistic one, I have to say I need to train with it because like it's not as intuitive as SAS is. So actually, if I would need to use it like for landings all of the time, maybe for takeoffs, then I think it would be hard to adjust to this, to the logic of working it, of using it. So I'm just assuming that like real pilots have to train it a lot, and I will also try to do it. So pretty much the recommendation for now is that ATT is great, but you also need to know exactly how it works. So it might be easier to hand fly with SAS for you, right? So just check out what works for you. As long as you will not be surprised that something strange is happening, it should be totally fine. Let me just assign some speed because we are not moving fast enough. And I will probably go down a little bit because I want to leave the clouds because there is a lot of turbulence there. So I don't want to move so fast. Okay, let's just follow the nav path. Okay, and let's, yeah, we are really high because I was talking a lot. Okay, so altitude press select, vertical speed. And I know we have discussed it many times during the prior videos, but I see people on the internet still having problems with it. So there might be somebody that only watches this one video. So if I have IAS and VS on, both of those, then I'm no longer controlling the vertical speed with the standard trim on the cyclic, but it moves to a special assignment that is called, I think, engine beep trim 1 still. Let me show you. Here, helicopter engine beep trim increase and decrease. So this is pretty much what I'm doing when I'm changing the speed now, because both modes are on. If only vertical speed would be on, then I would change vertical speed with the normal trim on my joystick. Let me see, still 20 miles out. So I guess I will just do a jump to the landing part. Yeah, and for now, I think I will stop the video. Thank you very much, and I hope it's clearer now. It was also difficult for me, despite like being part of a lot of discussions and like watching a lot of discussions of experienced people, including the helicopter pilot. But I think now it's clear. And when you have everything set up, it's like, well, pretty useful, pretty much both modes on. ATT is hands off. So once you have set the attitude that you want to, the helicopter should do like everything possible to keep it. So this might be also fine if you don't want to use any of the modes, but just like fly straight, right? It can be also used for turns, right? So you can initiate a turn and then block it there by releasing the force trim button that we have discussed, and it will continue the turn, right? Because as we said, like attitude is both pitch, right, up, down, but it's also roll, so rolling to the side. This will be saved in AD. Okay, so thanks, and we see each other in a couple of minutes.